Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the live stream here on the channel. Let's see who we have in here today. We have Dream Team, we have Caleb, Edits, we also have Indiana, Catman, and Haley, Blake's as well, Kevin, and of course, everybody else who is watching and not chatting. Maybe anybody else I forgot to welcome in the chat. Pete, glad to see you in here as well. We're going to be diving right on into this as potential tropical cyclone 6 has formed in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. And we'll also be diving into our other AOIs out there in the Atlantic and the Eastern Pacific. So let's go right ahead and dive right on into this. I'll just double check things because I just like to double check, make sure everything's good to go. We should be good to go. All right, is that the right date? Yeah, that's the right date. that's normally the... Why is my... Oh, I'm zoomed in, aren't I? Why can you guys see the top of my browser? Y'all have never been able to see the top of my browser. Did I move the screen or something? You guys have never seen the top of my browser before. Man, well, we're going to do a quick live fix here. Let's see how bad this is. Okay, just like that. Like right there. We're going to just take off this side, and we're going to just take off this side. Ta-da! There you go. Just wanted to fix that really quick. We will most likely be live till 8 o'clock, if not after 8 o'clock. We're going to plan for a 2-hour live stream today, so we'll probably conclude about 8:30. So we'll be with you guys to see the 8 o'clock advisory and the 8 o'clock National Hurricane Center cone advisory. So yeah, make sure that you stay tuned for that. We'll be getting new information there. We won't be live for the 00Z models though, because those go, I mean, those start rendering at like almost midnight my time. So let's start off with I don't know if I have anything on the background. Do I have... Okay, I have Radar Omega on the background. I didn't know if I had anything on the background there, so I didn't really want to close that out. But I do want to start with our current upper level water vapor imagery. That's what I like to start with now on these live streams. Couple areas, quite a few areas of interest here on this singular map as a whole. We've got what was Invest 90L right on up here. We have now potential tropical cyclone 6, which is also known as, no longer known as, Invest 92L or Invest 91L. So now it's not Invest 91L because it's been upgraded to potential tropical cyclone. Basically, what that means is it has the potential to impact land, and it is expected to impact land within 48 hours. However, it doesn't meet specific criteria in order to become a tropical depression. The criteria it didn't meet in this instance is a well-defined lower level area of circulation, also known as a low pressure. So it didn't have a well-defined area of central circulation somewhere inside that convection, which therefore made them issue a potential tropical cyclone, in this case 6, because we've gotten 6 of those this season. So that's going to be your main interest right there, Southwest Gulf of Mexico. Like I said, previous 90L there. We have two tropical storms that will likely form out here. One is right in this area, blob of convection generally in this area, that will move off to the northwest and will likely become a tropical storm to potentially even a hurricane just to the northeast of the Lesser Antilles. And then we have another blob out here that could also become a tropical storm as it moves off to the northwest as well. We also have a very large area of just overall disturbed weather out here in the Eastern Pacific that could eventually organize into a tropical storm or hurricane as it moves towards Baja California and Mexico as we go towards the latter half of this week. We have a couple waves moving off of Africa off your screen, but at the moment none of those are of concern. So that's your main look at everything that we have out here. Again, main areas, we have a big area here, and then your EPAC here, and that actually includes 5 AOIs. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 AOIs that we have. We'll go ahead and turn y'all over to the National Hurricane Center so that way you guys can see all those areas of interest here. So there's your AOIs from your National Hurricane Center. This is your 5 p.m. Eastern Time update. You can see a red Sharpie out here. That is a 70+% chance. At this point, it is a 70% chance for a tropical storm or depression to form in the next 7 days, and a 60% chance we see a tropical storm or tropical depression in the next 2 days. The one to the right of that has a 0% chance in the next 48 hours. Trying to get it to where you guys can see it, but I don't think I can. But it has a 0% chance in the next 48 hours. I will show you guys that in just a second. And then a 50% chance in the next 7 days. Now we have, of course, potential tropical cyclone 6. We'll get into that in just a second. I want to show you guys the AOI out here in the Eastern Pacific. They've upped this to a 60% chance of a tropical storm or depression forming in the next 7 days. If you watched my video from, I believe, yesterday, I think this was around the realms of a 30% chance. So they upped that quite a lot from yesterday's AOI. And that's going to be, eventually, that's going to try to track into Baja California or potentially scrape western Mexico there as well. I do think every last one of these have the potential to form into a tropical storm and hurricane. I think this will form into a tropical storm. I believe this will form into a at least minimum Category 1, possibly Category 2. Can't even rule out a Category 3 hurricane pending rapid intensification. We also have this that I think will form into a hurricane well to the southeast of Bermuda. And then I think this will make run for tropical storm status, but I am questioning if this will actually be able to form into a tropical storm or not. Let's go into your cone of uncertainty here from the National Hurricane Center. You can see they have already tropical storm watches out for the far eastern side of Mexico. We will likely see hurricane watches come out for the coastlines of Louisiana and Texas, as well as tropical storm watches as we go through the rest of tonight into all of tomorrow and tomorrow morning. Currently, they are forecasting a peak intensity of 75 miles per hour sustained, which is going to put it at Category 1 status, low-end Category 1 status. I do think this could vary anywhere between a high-end tropical storm and a Category 3 hurricane. Some models have a rapid intensification phase, others don't. It's just going to simply depend on if we see a lot of wind shear that could impact the system as it approaches Texas and Louisiana. So there is indeed a decent question mark in terms of intensity here, as well as with this plot here. So we should know the extent of the intensification by the time we get to probably late Tuesday evening, around the 8 p.m. advisory. Tuesday evening is going to be a crucial update because that's when we'll have that tropical storm most likely positioned generally right here. We'll know how far that's going to move off to the northeast, how far it's going to move to the west or east or whatnot. That will be able to help us decide exactly how fast this may intensify. But it doesn't have a lot of time over the Gulf of Mexico. It has about 4-ish days, 3 to 4 days over the Gulf. So it shouldn't be able to intensify into anything more than a low-end Category 3. I think that's as high as we get to here is a low-end Category 3 hurricane. That's like a worst-case scenario, which I believe the 12Z GFS showed that. We'll, of course, dive into those here eventually. Your experimental cone that the NHC put into effect, I believe, early last month, that's going to be very handy when we see those tropical storm watches, warnings, hurricane watches, and warnings get issued for Texas and Louisiana, because that will allow us to see how far inland those watches and warnings do go into Louisiana and Texas. Current rainfall predictions from the Weather Prediction Center and the National Hurricane Center show some isolated amounts, potentially upwards of a foot of rainfall along the coastlines of south central, southwestern Louisiana into southeastern Texas, with widespread amounts upwards of 6 inches of rainfall spreading all the way from potentially as far east as Mobile, Alabama, all the way back out towards close to Houston, Texas. The coastline, these impacts are definitely going to vary here, but we should have the potential for some flash flooding in this area, some tropical storm force wind speeds. That will be your main issue. Of course, I will have to note this. There's definitely going to be the possibility for a couple tornadoes in this general vicinity here, depending on where our tropical system makes landfall. If it makes landfall, say just to we'll say just west of Lake Charles. So if it makes landfall right on the Texas-Louisiana border, then your main tropical tornado threat will be pointing east of that area of landfall, generally out in this area. So we should have, at this moment, I see more of a wide widespread tornado threat, but a low-wind tornado threat. So, like, a lot of people will be under the gun for brief, weak spin-up tornadoes. I do think we'll see a 5% tornado risk, probably painted off to the southeast of Lake Charles, somewhere out here, depending on exactly where that landfall does occur, which we won't know until very, very late, very, very late in the forecast, probably just before landfall. Let's see, storm, surge, inundation. I don't think... Oh, wow, they actually already do have this set up. Hold on, so let's look at your storm surge forecast. Do they have that? Am I just blind? I don't see storm surge forecast, but it does say storm surge. So we'll probably have the potential for, I imagine, upwards of 6 foot of storm surge, maybe even more than that, depending on the intensity. But just generally, because of where this area is located, I do think we'll have at least the potential for 6 foot storm surge, as long as this can get to high-end tropical storm, low-end hurricane status there. Wind speed probabilities, of course, these will continue to increase throughout the week as we get closer and closer to landfall. Currently, tropical storm force wind speeds are ongoing in the far southwestern side of the Gulf of Mexico. This blob of pinkish purple will continue to push along the coastline of Texas into Louisiana as we go through the remainder of our weekend and eventually into mid next week, where this will eventually make landfall. Sometime, I'm thinking landfall will be early afternoon Wednesday, which will allow for a really nice time frame of coverage on this channel. I will likely start coverage depending on the forecast, but we'll hopefully be able to start coverage just after 11:30 a.m. and stream from 11:30 a.m. all the way till probably 3 p.m. So we should have a decently long live stream available for you guys on, depending on exactly when this will make landfall. Fingers crossed it's not in the middle of the freaking night, because Debbie, or actually Ernesto we did cover, but Debbie and what is it? Beryl. Debbie and Beryl were both dead in the middle of the night. I think Debbie was around 4 a.m. Beryl was right around that time frame as well, if I remember correctly, which I may not be remembering correctly there. And then Ernesto, we were able to cover that quite easily for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Here is your current watches and warnings. We do not have any warnings issued at the moment. I expect that these tropical storm watches, at least some of these, will be upgraded to a tropical storm warning as we get over the next probably 12 hours. We could see these turn into tropical storm warnings as soon as an hour and 15 minutes from now as we go to the 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time advisory. And like I said, hurricane watches will be issued between now, I should say, between the 8 p.m. advisory tonight all the way until tomorrow night at the 8 p.m. advisory. We should have hurricane watches issued for portions of Louisiana. Let's go ahead and do a little bit more of a zoom in here. I'll close the NHC. Well, real quick, there's your flash flood potential. You can see how big that slight risk for flooding will be in this area because your tropical system will turn extra tropical, allowing for a more widespread rainfall and tornado threat. That's what me and Lucky chased when Tropical Storm Debbie made landfall here in the Carolinas. I don't see this being a big threat for tornadoes at the moment. However, it is far out. It's hard to predict this far out. Beryl looked horrific for a tornado threat, and then we all know Beryl ended up dropping over 50 tornadoes in Louisiana and Texas on within a 24-hour span there. So we're just gonna have to wait to see your tornado threat, but flooding will definitely be an issue. We will most likely see a moderate risk level 3 out of 4 introduced along the coastline areas of Louisiana and Texas as we get closer. That's just common sense. The closer we get, the more confidence we have, and the more specifics we get as well. Alrighty, let me go ahead and now close that out. What the freak happened to our satellite imagery? What did the whole atmosphere just freaking tilt? What the heck just happened? The whole atmosphere just freaking tilted, y'all. What in the world? I think the world just turned flat or something. I don't really know. But yeah, here's your cone of uncertainty. That's just simply a glitch, y'all. Don't worry about that. It's just a glitch. But here's your cone of uncertainty. The areas that need to start preparing preferably tomorrow. You don't have to prepare like tonight, even though I know the thumbnail says prepare now. I just know that not a lot of people want to prepare at 7 o'clock. It is actually 5 p.m. out here, so it wouldn't hurt. You know, if you guys got some daylight left, just start preparations. And what I mean by that is just let your family know. That's a preparation. Let your family know that there's a hurricane, eventually soon to be a hurricane that's going to head up your way. Anywhere if you live from Galveston, Texas, all the way to, what is that place right here, wherever this is, Morgan City, Louisiana. So this whole area here, that's where I would be preparing as soon as possible. Let your family know there's a hurricane heading our way. If you're on the immediate coastline, make sure you know where your evacuations are, just in case this thing exceeds the current forecast of Hurricane 1 intensity, or Category 1 hurricane intensity. And definitely want to be keeping a very, very, very close eye on the forecast. Make sure that you are checking with the National Hurricane Center every 3 hours. Every 3 hours, if you live in these areas, check on the National Hurricane Center, because this is going to change. This could shift all the way. I mean, it could shift all the way as far as New Orleans. Maybe even slightly more east than that. It just depends on our trough. But currently, this is your cone. Your cone is where the low pressure will track. So if your low pressure tracks on the far eastern side of this cone here, then that brings your tropical storm impacts as far as New Orleans. So keep in mind, your impacts are not going to be limited to the cone of uncertainty. Matter of fact, just to show you a point of that, let me show you your current tropical storm force wind speeds. So your current tropical storm force wind speeds are very much already well outside that cone of uncertainty, because you're generalized where they generally think the low pressure is located is right here. And look at your tropical storm force wind speeds well exceeding, well outside to the west of that cone of uncertainty, and even to the northeast as well. So impacts are not limited to that cone of uncertainty. Make sure you keep that in mind. That's very important. And then this thing will rapidly weaken. It may even weaken quite quickly as it approaches land, because we will have a trough that comes through, and that's going to have quite strong west-northwesterly wind shear that will be in place over the coastline of Louisiana and Texas. Depending on exactly how far south that sags, we may or may not be dealing with a Category 2 hurricane, and it's just going to depend on that wind shear and that dry air. That's something we're going to have to just monitor. But at the moment, we are definitely looking at a hurricane being a very much real possibility. We are expecting a hurricane. I do believe it will happen, and I think we're going to have quite the amount of impacts in Texas and Louisiana. Now, in terms of anything greater than a hurricane, I think we just have to wait until that low pressure forms, and I think we're going to have to wait until Tuesday night, the 8 p.m. advisory Tuesday. That's going to be a key point in the forecast, because we'll be able to tell if that wind shear and dry air is on forecast with our models or not. So it will be a waiting game, but definitely want to start preparing if you are on the coastlines of southeastern Texas and southern Louisiana. Well, some areas in Louisiana aren't going to see that many impacts. So, if you live towards Shreveport, I think Shreveport, kind of the west side here, is going to be the area that's not impacted the most. Models are quite in agreement on landfall being right here. So it depends on where it tracks. If we have landfall here and it follows the exact NHC's pressure, then Shreveport, I mean, with some of these extratropical systems, it's such a sharp cutoff line. For instance, even Beryl out here in Houston, like San Antonio saw barely even a drizzle of rain, and then areas just to the east ended up getting 8-ish inches of rainfall. So we could have a very sharp cutoff point with your rainfall forecast, which I haven't taken a look at models for that rainfall forecast, but let's just take a quick peek at our GFS, which is definitely not our most accurate, but I do want to see how sharp that cutoff point will be, at least to get an idea. We're going to wait for that to... Yeah, see, look at that. Look at that. Very, very sharp cutoff point there between where it makes landfall. And the GFS has landfall. That's probably your worst case scenario. If we see landfall just to the southwest of Lafayette, Louisiana, that storm surge is going to be really, really bad for the... is this the... I can't read that word. It's gray. It's grayed out. I don't know what this is. Appalachia? Is that what that says? Appalachia Bay? That would be a very much worst case scenario. Also, the GFS has a category right around category 2 strength making landfall here. I don't think we can look at your pressure millibar from this, but just to show you your wind speeds here, this will at least give you an idea. Wait for that to load, bring it back. Yeah, you can see that. So that's a category high-end Cat 1, most likely Cat 2. That would be making landfall there south of Lafayette. This would definitely be a more worst case scenario. It's a possibility, but I would not be betting on it at the moment. We're definitely in more of a just prepare and watch. That's what you need to be. That's what you need to be doing. Just make sure your family knows that this thing is most likely going to become a hurricane and head towards this general vicinity here if you live in this area. And also keep a very close eye on the NHC's forecast. Will it impact Alabama in any way? Yes. I do believe Alabama will feel some impacts. Most likely will have some isolated gusty tropical storm force wind speeds upwards of probably 30 miles per hour. And pending on how big the system is when it makes landfall, Alabama may be included inside that tornado threat as we go into the morning of September 12th. So definitely want to watch it in Alabama too. That's definitely a good idea. I have family that live all the way up here north of Birmingham, Alabama, and I've already alerted them to keep a close eye on it because extratropical systems can very easily bring a notable tornado threat after they make landfall. As for 92L, I think Kevin said that. Yeah, what about 92L? I do think 92L, I'm pretty sure you were in the stream, but I'll recap again. I do think 92L will be a fish storm, and I think it will become a tropical storm probably right around the 12th of September, maybe even just before that, and most likely make a run for a hurricane well to the northeast of the Lesser Antilles. I do think that's going to form. I don't really see a reason why it won't form, but you never know. Sometimes the forecast flops. How does it go all the way up there? That's because an extratropical system picks up on speed. There you go. That's what I was looking for. It picks up on speed very, very, very quickly. So after the storm makes landfall, if it says the movement, okay, well, it doesn't say the speeds, but we'll just estimate here. So this is going to be between 2 a.m. and then 2 p.m. So that's 12 hours or so. And that's 177 miles. So this is probably, at this point, it'd be moving right around 20, 25 miles per hour, right around there. And then this is your 2 p.m. update, and this is your 2 p.m. update. So that's 24 hours. Look how much of a bigger gap that is. That's almost 400 miles there in the span of 24 hours. So it would be moving a lot faster. That's just because an extratropical system weakens, the low pressure weakens, and the system as a whole. Most likely, this one's going to be picked up by a big trough over the United States, and it's going to fling it very quickly up to the northeast after it makes landfall. So it's going to be currently there is barely much of a steering current, so it's just going to slowly move to the northeast. And this right here as we get towards Tuesday night, that's going to be when your intensification phase really starts to happen. Picks up some speed there, makes landfall, and then it rapidly moves off to the northeast. Most of your impacts will most likely be limited to, depending on where it makes landfall, if it makes landfall right where the NHC has it, which is right here, most of your impacts would be limited to this area right in here. But again, look how big this is on the GFS. See how compact hurricane it is? Makes landfall, it's very compact. And then as it turns extratropical, look at that big spread here. So your main tropical storm force wind speeds, your flooding would be focused on the northern side. And out here in the southeast quadrant of your storm, your extratropical area, that would be your tornado threat, your biggest tornado threat. Still some flooding, still some gusty winds. That's what me and Lucky chased, if you guys remember when we chased. So Debbie made landfall like this, moved up the Carolinas like that. Me and Lucky targeted this area for tornadoes right up in this area. The majority of the flash flooding happened to our southwest out in this area. So where we targeted was on the east northeast quadrant of your tropical storm. That's where your greatest tornado potential is. So if this scenario does happen, Alabama would be under the gun for your highest tornado threat, but that is very uncertain. I mean, I don't think I have any other models I can show here, but if we go over to like tropical tidbits, we'll just push y'all on over to tropical tidbits. I don't think Chicago will be impacted in any way. If it somehow manages to make it up that far north, maybe some light rain. But I really don't think you'll see much up there. That is very, very far north. All right, so here is your European 12Z model. This is another one that's similar to the GFS. And watch how it still has the same characteristics. See? Still a very quite well-defined tropical storm with its centralized low pressure. So you bet that'd be some tropical storm force wind speeds right in there. And then you're kind of, it's taking that comma head-shaped low pressure look. So same as the GFS, your main tornado threat would be right out in this area with your flash flooding and damaging winds main threat in here. So that's really almost the same scenario as the GFS. Let's go to the CMC. This is much further west, kind of where the NHC has their forecast, this hurricane making landfall. Your main tropical storm force wind speeds break apart very, very fast as it exits Louisiana. Main flash flooding and some damaging winds would be here. And your main tornado threat still, even on here, it would be over Mississippi and maybe even into Florida there and most of Alabama. Don't think we have like tornado ingredients on this model run. Let's go to your icon model. Still the same ordeal. So a lot of these models are going to have the main tornado threat being Alabama, Mississippi, Florida. We could go over to our severe weather site, the site we normally use for severe weather. We could look at some tornado ingredients just so I could show y'all. The next storm in Chicago. There's definitely no big storms for Chicago anytime soon. We're going to head into our second tornado season, but in terms of severe weather, outside of, the possible tornado threat we could get out of our tropical storm, it's very limited at the moment. There is no severe weather to track. Let me just take you to the GFS, show you exactly what I'm talking about. So there's your tropical, or your potential tropical cyclone 6 right now. Tropical storm most likely tomorrow. Strengthens quite a lot here on your GFS model. And that obviously brings up your tornado ingredients quite a lot. Watch how much. I want you to pay attention, not to the exact location of where your tornado ingredients are, but just generally watch how much this expands. Watch how much it expands. Look at that. So it goes from just a tiny little area here on the coastal areas of Louisiana. The coastal areas of Louisiana right here. And then once this makes landfall on September 11th, and then eventually moves into Alabama on the 12th, now your tornado ingredients spread this whole area here, all the way from eastern Mississippi into almost central Florida, of course, given these are very weak tornado ingredients there. There's all your instability too, and you can see you're obviously going to have a jet stream with it. That's another key factor. So shears, I don't know if shear's ever been an issue for tropical tornadoes. Moisture, of course. So overall, this would be a pretty good setup for tornadoes, but definitely won't favor strong tornadoes. Tropical systems rarely bring strong tornado threats, but it has happened, of course. It has happened before. Yeah, so this definitely your main tornado threat would be on that first band here, and you would probably have some bands of tornadic circulations moving onshore here too as you go through Thursday afternoon. So definitely going to have an all hazards threat here. Of course, you're going to have tropical storm force wind speeds, at least tropical storm force wind speeds, probably significant to maybe even catastrophic flooding, catastrophic and deadly storm surge, and then your tornado threat as well. So Tropical storms carry all types of hazards with them. That's why we take them very, very seriously. And this will most likely become a hurricane too. I saw someone was using the NAM model, so these are CAM allowing models, convecutive allowing models. You don't want to use these for tropical systems ever, and there's a good reason for that too. Look at this. Your NAM model has a much higher tornado threat here, but you don't want to use these. I'm just looking at these for fun. Yeah, don't use these. Don't use these at all. If I have to convince you why not to use these, this particular model run had Beryl being a historic Category 5 hitting Texas, and as we all know, Beryl was a low-end Category 1, so these CAM models, they are atrocious at handling a tropical system's strength. Now, that being said, they are useful once the storm makes landfall and starts becoming extra tropical. The NAM model and the HRRR model, both, especially the HRRR model, nailed the tornado threat in Louisiana for what was Hurricane Beryl, eventually became extratropical storm Beryl. So just never use them for intensity of a tropical storm, but after it makes landfall, they do become very useful for forecasting a tornado threat. But like this far out, I mean, gracious day, this is. I just wanna look at it. We're just looking at this. I want to see what millibar this has. 987. So this isn't, honestly, this isn't too bad of a model. It's not that far out of what we are, looking at a very real possibility of seeing. So that's not too bad, but you don't want to use them. I definitely don't want to use them like you do with your hurricane models. That's why I don't know if I've ever used this stuff in a video. If I did, it's probably because there was a tornado threat present. But I don't take that stuff seriously. Just for the fun of it. Again, I do want to see this. Yeah. That's about what I thought. 956. That's not happening. I could just straight up tell you that it will not happen. That will not happen. That will not happen. For instance, there's your GFS having a 995. Here's your European having a 1000 millibar. Here's your Icon model having a 999. And your GMA, I don't think we can see the millibar on that. But it's probably going to be right around 1000 as well. So, like I said, it's just never a good idea to use these CAM models unless you're looking at a tornado threat from an extratropical storm. I know people have looked at that. That's why I wanted to mention that. I know people on Twitter have looked at it and probably taken it seriously. But just know whenever you hear NAM and tropical storm mixed together, toss it in the trash. Toss it in the trash. So currently the National Weather Service is having a significant outage with satellite imagery, as obviously presented here by tropicaltidbits.com. So glad that we got to at least see the water vapor at the beginning while we did. You can see it on College DuPage too. Freaking red sun all over again over the northwestern side of the U.S. Look at that. There's a red sun on the northwest side of the U.S. So, yeah, they've been having issues like that over the last, 2 months? 2 months they've had issues like this. This might be the worst one I've seen, though, honestly. All right, I did see a question about second season. Illinois could see severe weather in fall. Does this mean we could have another outbreak like November 17th, 2013? So second season is very typically far south. You guys up there in Chicago, for instance, like the event we tracked before in July, normally see windbags, derechos, and isolated tornado threats. So I don't think you're going to have anything crazy. There's nothing that points towards a crazy second season in the Midwest, but you'll probably end up on, a couple severe weather risks. But saying something like a tornado outbreak or a severe weather outbreak is just, it's too far out to say anything about that because there's no signals about it. But I do think we'll have an above average, or at least I'll say active tornado season in this area here. From October through early January. February is like the big cutoff point for tornadoes. I think February is like your least active tornado month. But I do think this area is going to have quite a bit of, quite a lot of tornado threats from October through December and into January. There is some evidence pointing towards that. I don't know if I'll be doing a forecast on that, but I will most likely mention it when I do my my winter season forecast, whenever the heck that is. I may just have to get a quick one out, honestly. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do, like, my fancy edits and everything with it. I started working on it, about 4 days ago. It takes forever to actually get together. I don't know how some YouTubers pump them out, like, every other day. But let me go ahead and go out more to the east here, just to show you guys this. So this is your 92L currently, well to the east of the Lesser Antilles. And we may have a near miss for the Lesser Antilles for a tropical storm. A couple ensembles hinted at that as well. Man, bless their bones, or poor satellite imagery. Yeah, oh my word, we have trended really far west. Wow. Yeah, we have trended really far west. These ensembles were like here when I looked at them yesterday. They're now like here. We have trended really far southwest. And a good chunk of these do have a high-end tropical storm, or I should say mid-tier tropical storm to hurricane possible. I don't know what this model is on, the CTCI. Look at that intensification. Can you imagine that? Like, can you imagine that steady of an intensification process? Like, what is that? So that's, well, that's like 12 hours right there. This thing jumps from 45 knots to like 105 from 45 to 105 knots in 12 hours. Can you imagine that intensification? That's like Otis from last year. That's wild. This honestly could go Cat 2 before the Gulf has been untouched for a while, because the Gulf has been untouched for a while. Pez got a notification on my phone here. Okay. But anyways, there is wind shear right at the edge of, or most likely will be at the edge of Texas and Louisiana. So if it does become a Cat 2, it will probably be before and prior to landfall. I think it's going to take quite a slight shift in our forecast in order for us to see a Cat 2 landfall. But it is definitely a possibility for sure. But at the moment, I do agree with the NHC. Better safe than sorry. They're just going to call for a low-end Cat 1 hurricane. That's definitely the safer bet until we get an organized lower level, low pressure and area of circulation, as well as once we get towards Tuesday. Tuesday is going to be your main forecast day. I really don't think that we need to be jumping the gun on anything just yet. I mean, holy crap, y'all. We, on this channel, we saw this system how many days out? I mean, I remember, like, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I'm pretty sure we were talking about this system, the potential for a tropical storm to form near this area 2 weeks ago. Yeah, we were looking at this area of interest 2 weeks ago. However, this area of interest that's currently in the Gulf, near potential tropical cyclone 6, when I made the video 2 weeks ago, it was coming off of Africa. So it came off of Africa. We watched it progress all the way through into the Yucatan Peninsula. And then right here, I don't know what happened with the forecast, but at this point, it just choked off. Nothing. No models formed, anything. Possibility for a tropical storm, yeah, but pretty much nothing on the models. So that's when I decided, hey, I'm going to take a bit of a break. And then sure enough, a whole 24, 36 hours later, it's right here, and we're now looking at a tropical storm. And then, of course, where the NHC now has it, which I think is somewhere generally at that X point, we're now looking at a hurricane potential for Texas and Louisiana. So I don't know what happened, but we uptrended big time. Once this thing got off the coastline of the Yucatan Peninsula, there was just a big old uptrend right there. A big old uptrend. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and share the stream with your family, friends, and on social media. It is greatly appreciated. Like I said, we're going to stay here for the 8 o'clock update and even beyond that, so that way we can bring you the latest information. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, because we will most likely be covering this landfall for a couple of hours, depending on when it makes landfall. Currently, models have it making landfall. The GFS model has landfall at 8 p.m. The CMC has landfall here at 2 p.m. And the Icon model has landfall at 2 p.m. as well. So we'll most likely be covering it. As long as it's not a before 8 a.m. landfall, there's a very high likelihood we will be covering it. I don't know about that, Frosty, but it does. I mean, what does it have? Sustained winds of like 50? Yeah, it has sustained winds of 50, gusts of 65. You could see that the strengthening is expected to be minimal, if any. And look at that jump. It goes from 50 miles per hour to 65 in one update there, which, given this one update is 12 hours apart. Then it goes to 70, and then it's 75. So, I don't know what date Tuesday is. Tomorrow's the 9th, so that's the 10th. So, yeah, very late tomorrow, most likely. Really, Tuesday is going to be your big day for working out any uncertainty. After it's done taking this turn, which will be very late Monday into pretty much all of Tuesday. That's why I said the 8 o'clock advisory, 8 p.m. Tuesday. That's going to be when we work out a lot of our uncertainties. And we'll be able to tell with more confidence exactly where this will be able to go. I do want to go ahead and show you guys the some of our ensembles. We won't dive on into weather nerds, but we will just look at our ensembles from Tropical Tidbits here. There we go. So there's your GFS ensembles here. And you can see very gradual, very, very gradual strengthening. And then once it's done that turn, like I said, once it's done that turn, that's when it's going to start strengthening quite quickly. And you can see a lot of aggressive models here. Once this is near parallel to Corpus Christi, a lot of aggressive models showing category 1 plus hurricane as it goes into the Lake Charles area pointing to the east. Not a lot take this into Texas, just a very slim amount take this into Texas. The majority of our ensembles are more to the east of where the NHC currently has their landfall at. So I wouldn't be shocked to see the cone move just slightly. Just a slight eastward shift of this gray track here and the edge of this red line at the 8 o'clock advisory here in about 46 minutes. Back over to Tropical Tidbits, though. Let's go ahead and take a look at... I don't think they have the intensity on here unless I'm... Yeah, their intensity is just not on here. Normally they have all your intensity guidance, but I guess maybe the satellite's screwing up with that. Here's some more ensembles for you as well. That shows you a lot bigger of a spread. That still shows you how much uncertainty there is in the track, which I think these two, honestly, I feel like we could count those two as outliers at this point. So your main track, your main area of uncertainty will be from near Galveston all the way to New Orleans. And some of these are really aggressive. I mean, some of these even go as far as category 3 intensity as it goes towards like New Orleans. So from what I'm seeing here, it looks like potentially, the more east this is and the more east this makes landfall, the stronger of intensity it may become, because I don't know what the heck that is. But most of these, you can see these are like yellows, maybe some oranges, and the majority of these are all yellows, oranges, and reds. Like you can see a big group of orange and red here, yellows and oranges there. So... and maybe the more east it moves, the greater intensity it might be able to reach here, just because it may have more time over the Gulf of Mexico. So the main area that I'm looking at for landfall is definitely going to be somewhere right around this area here. I do think it will be southwest of Louisiana. Like, I'm just going to make a very random prediction here. We're probably 90-ish hours out from landfall, so very good ways away. I'm going to say landfall. This is just me having fun, honestly. I would say landfall is going to be right here. Right here. Or will it be more east? Yeah, I'm going to say like right in here is where we'll have landfall. It could be anywhere in this cone of uncertainty, but I'm going to say right there. We'll see how dead wrong I am when landfall actually comes around. Let me go back and look at some ensembles just to see how many have it there. The area I circled, I don't think has a single ensemble. There's one right here at my cursor, but I circled just slightly more west of that. But yeah, this thing could literally make landfall anywhere from New Orleans all the way to apparently in between Corpus Christi and Houston. I don't know what the heck this one's on, but apparently, according to this ensemble, could be anywhere between southwest of Houston all the way to New Orleans. So big spread of uncertainty there. I said I wasn't going to look at Weather Nerds, but honestly, Weather Nerds is such a good site for ensembles that I do want to look at it, considering we have so much time available here, and then we'll even have some time after the new NHC update to go over this stuff. Might as well look at it. Holy aggressive category 4s. What the heck? Very aggressive ensembles out on 92L, potentially category 3 plus, northeast of the Lesser Antilles. Thankfully, most of those European ensembles are out to sea. I'll let y'all see that in a bit after I zoom this in. So thankfully, your category 3s and 4s are not for this storm. Most of these light blues and dark blues you see, those are all, most of these are dark blues, but dark blue is typically a tropical, weak to mid-tropical storm. Your light green is a tropical storm. Your yellow is getting to a hurricane. Orange is getting towards a mid to high-end category 1 hurricane. And then your reds are getting to cat 2. Your dark red's getting to high-end cat 2. And then your pink is category 3 plus. So there's obviously no pink here. There's not even any red. So the majority of these show category 1 to category 2 intensity on approach to Louisiana. But look at the amount of these. If you follow it, look at how it goes green, yellow, orange, and then guess what? Yellow, dark blue. So, like I mentioned, with the potential for wind shear to affect this storm from the northwest, moving out to the south-southeast, rather the east-southeast, we should have a phase, fingers crossed, of weakening just before this storm hits landfall, thanks to that wind shear and dry air. But we do need to just wait until we can get closer to confirm if that wind shear and dry air is going to be a big factor on intensity or not. But I don't see this at the moment. I don't see many signs of a category 2 plus landfall here. I think we're going to be looking at somewhere around category 1 status for landfall. But you never know. It is the Gulf of Mexico. It's literally peak hurricane season is in 2 days. This storm will be intensifying on the day of exact peak hurricane season, September 10th. And you never know. We could have a situation where rapid intensification just comes out of nowhere. It's definitely a possibility, but unfortunately, that's a little bit too difficult to predict. But it's always a possibility when you're looking at a good environment in the Gulf of Mexico. Just to go out and show you all those very aggressive ensembles with 92L. Thankfully, most of those, if not all of them, are out to sea. So just a handful take a tropical storm to category 1 hurricane into the Lesser Antilles. I do think some tropical storm impacts may actually be a possibility on the far northeastern side of the U.S. Virgin Islands, as well as the northern side of the Lesser Antilles. But most of our very ridiculous ensembles are out to sea. You can see a 938 millibar, category 4, borderline category 5 pressure millibar there. Ensemble from the European. Very, very, very aggressive. This one's 951, 957, 947, 955, 930. 930, that's most likely a category 5 right there, ensemble. 956. So a lot of aggressive ensembles here from your European runs. Thankfully, most, if not all, are out to sea. GFS ensembles out here. We did get a new one, and wow. We're going this way. We're going this way. We're going to go this way. No, we're going this way. Like, gracious day. What? I can't even make out what I'm looking at here. What in the world is happening? Well, most of these are actually category 2 plus, some even category 3 here. But holy crap, uncertainty. Like, this way, nope, this way, this one goes up this way, this one goes freaking this way, these go over this way, these go this way. Like, what? That is what I call uncertainty right there. A lot of uncertainty between your GFS ensembles there. That is something. My goodness. Zoom out some more. Wow. Lot of main development region action over the next 2 weeks out here. And then, of course, you have what's soon to be Tropical Storm Francine out here in the Gulf. Not much more signals than that. I do know that some signals are beginning to appear on the coastline of the Carolinas for a potential tropical system. However, I bet you, we probably don't even have a single European ensemble pointing that out. There you go. I knew it. Some GFS ensembles are showing it. That might even be one European ensemble right there. So I will watch this area, see if models try to spin something up there, but I highly doubt it. Your main areas to watch will definitely be out in the main development region, and then of course soon to be Tropical Storm Francine as it moves up towards Lake Charles. I do want to just move up here into Louisiana, just to show you the majority of these ensembles are between the Galveston area back out towards where I was talking about for, in my opinion, where I think the best landfall or the most likely landfall will be, which is here. But yeah, definitely a possibility, very much possibility that anyone in here sees a landfalling tropical storm or hurricane, I should say hurricane. So definitely need to be preparing if you're anywhere along the coastline right in here. That's where most of our models are and ensembles are showing a hurricane making landfall. So if you're anywhere between, they do have this all the way to Houston, but really I'd say Galveston all the way back out towards the end of that cone of uncertainty out here. That's where you need to have preparations ongoing. Make sure you let your family know that a hurricane is a very much real possibility. Make sure, you're stocking up. I'd start preferably tonight, honestly. If not tomorrow, get extra groceries, water, sandwiches, things that you don't need to heat up with electricity, things you can eat without, microwaves and ovens. So just start that stuff now, just in case, because there is a lot of uncertainties. Hopefully this is literally just a low-end tropical storm or not even a hurricane. But there is definitely that possibility, and I'm sure a lot of people feel it creeping in, that it could rapidly intensify on approach to Texas and Louisiana. So you just want to be ready. If the NHC, this is, of course, more hypothetical, but say that you have already finished your preparations and this storm's only 24 hours out from landfall, and all of a sudden it starts rapidly intensifying to a category 3 hurricane. The mass panic that will happen. If that happens, the mass panic in Louisiana and Texas would be ridiculous. So if that worst case scenario, which it's very unlikely to happen, but if it does happen, you'll already be prepared. You'll already have stuff done. You don't have to go out. You don't have to be in all that traffic, waiting at empty stores to see if you can get supplies. So just get it today or tomorrow before the media really spreads this out, because I can tell you, the closer we get to this thing getting towards Louisiana, Texas, the more and more these big nationwide networks are going to start picking up on it. You're going to have this all over TV. I'm sure it's already been over the Weather Channel. But just overall, people are going to start panicking. Even if it's a Category 1 hurricane, I'm sure there will be some panic out there. That's just the weather community, unfortunately. Unfortunately, you know what? I'd like to check. I have a few YouTubers that I check to see what they're saying here. I'm gonna look it up. I want to see if we got anyone hyping this up to be like something. Oh, yep, there's one. There's one already. Didn't even have to go much further than my home page. Category 3 hurricane expected. You see that, y'all? That's a 1. That's a 1 right there. All right, let's go to this person. What the heck? My goodness. This is why I don't watch any other YouTubers, because it just gets my blood boiling. Let me go to, oh, who's that other one? This guy. Holy crap. Well, I'm not even going to mention that one because that's just too absurd. But yeah, there's definitely some hype already out there. There's definitely some hype out there. Oh my goodness. That's ridiculous. But hopefully, I just need to double check. What was that one again? I'm not mentioning them. Heck no. Well, it honestly, it only seems like 2 people are hyping this. Actually, most of the weather community is not that bad, I gotta say. Most of the time when we have like a hurricane threatening, they'll throw category 300 or something out there. But it's actually not too bad. There's only like 2 people that are really hyping it. Well, that's pretty good to see. There's only like 2 people actually hyping this to be like a major hurricane making landfall. So we'll keep watching it. Like I said, this could literally make landfall as a low-end tropical storm, or it could be something as bad as like a Cat 3. That is a possibility. I'm not trying to hype it up, but it's possible. You can't, when you get a favorable environment in the Gulf of Mexico, you can never, most of the time, you can never rule out some sort of rapid intensification phase. We saw that with, uh, I couldn't even name all the tropical storms, but we've seen it with so many tropical systems. I mean, shoot, I'll just use the Caribbean. The Caribbean's actually a little less favorable than the Gulf. And the Caribbean, of course, we all remember Beryl. It took Beryl from like a high-end tropical storm to a Category 4 in the matter of 30-ish hours. It's always that possibility that a storm completely exceeds the National Hurricane Center's expectations. I could definitely see this getting to a. I could definitely see it getting to a Category 2, Category 3. But again, I don't want to jump the gun on it, so that's why I'm sticking with what the NHC is saying. I'm definitely saying Category 1. That's going to be what we recall for on this channel. I don't like to venture off from the NHC that much. I did do it to a system earlier this year. Whenever I venture off from the NHC, it seems like things just don't go that way. But yeah, I try not to venture off from the professionals, or else I'm wrong like 24/7. Yeah, the new update will be out at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. Let me go check some of our current conditions out there. Catman just reminded me of that. Let's go see, oh shoot. Please tell me I pinned it. I'm 95% sure I pinned it. I want to see our ocean heat content, which is a massive play for rapid intensification. Let's see what we're looking at out there. Dang! Yikes. Yeah, that's not fun. Could I zoom into like the... Okay, I'll just show you guys it. Right there. You see that? You see that nice little spot that's saying, hey, rapidly intensify right here, right here. You know you want to. Literally right where PTC is going to go right through. PTC 6 is going to go right through that blob of ocean heat content. Literally. So there you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It could... That's what's probably going to give it that boost of going from a low-end tropical storm to Category 1 status there. So this is, of course, in New Orleans. Then you go into a bay. Then you go into Lake Charles, Texas, Houston, Corpus Christi. Then you're going into Mexico there. So, yeah. That's where it'd make landfall right there. So if we just trace that back. So it's probably going to go through the far western side of that ocean heat content there, which is why that's why your GFS, both of your 18Z, 12Z GFS were so aggressive, because it took it more east. It took it more right dead center of that ocean heat content, which allowed it to intensify further on those particular 2 runs. So that is going to be the case. The more east it goes, the better opportunity it will probably have to rapidly intensify. Because, yeah, there's really no way. I don't think it's going to be able to go too far east. I mean, I guess theoretically it could go too far east, but in that case, it'd have to hit, like, east of New Orleans, which I don't think that's much of a possibility. There's some other products down here that the NOAA gives for free. This is your sea surface temperatures. I don't really think I need to go into that much. It's all primed. It is all primed. It is all primed, especially if I can get we'll do this color here. That blends in like almost, let's do this one. This area is where it's primed the utmost. So the entirety of the Caribbean and the majority, if not all, of your main development region along to the southeastern side of the United States, all primed for tropical development there. Of course, you also have to look into the other layers of the atmosphere as well. It doesn't just go off of sea surface temperatures. We don't just go off of sea surface temperatures. We don't just look at the sea surface temperatures and base our whole hurricane season off of that. But it does play probably your second biggest role. I would say personally that El Nino and La Nina play the biggest role in hurricane season, and then sea surface temperatures, and then your ocean heat content. That ocean heat content in the Caribbean is crazy, though. And that is crazy. I don't think we're going to get any systems anytime soon that's going to be able to use up that ocean heat content in the Caribbean. I don't believe we will. So, yeah, we're going to have our new National Hurricane Center update here in approximately 27 minutes. What do you think about September 18th on the GFS? Trough moves through north. Is that Nebraska? I guess that's Nebraska, Iowa. It looks interesting. Too far out. 10 days out. 10 days out. The GFS sucks more than 5 days, if not less than that. It's horrific. So looking at September 18th, at that point, you're just Twitter casting. You're just Twitter casting at that point. But if we look at ensembles for it, there's no big signal, period. There is no signal at all. It has a widespread area of potential severe weather, but there's no, like, there's no notable threat on this model run at the moment. If that exact scenario were to play out, Kevin, if it were to play out exactly what the GFS portrays, it would still be a minimal tornado threat. Yeah, it would be a very minimal tornado threat. It's September 18th, right? Let me go. Hold on. I wasn't going out that far. You know what? Nope. Actually, on that particular model run, your capping holds. So, literally wouldn't be anything. No, I just said at that point, you'd be Twitter hyping. You'd be Twitter casting. Yeah, if you took that seriously. I wasn't saying you were hyping it. You literally just said, what do you think? That's not really hyping. Although Twitter would take that as hyping. Twitter takes everything as hype. Doesn't matter how many times you put not official in your tweet, they'll still say you're hyping. I love how the GFS just takes a tropical system right over my freaking house. It just literally says, it just goes right over my house. I get absolutely slammed. That'd be pretty fun, though. I say that because, is that another tropical system? Holy cow. The GFS has back-to-back tropical storms for me. What? That is going to be the craziest GFS model run for me I've seen in a little while. Now, I have seen a model run this year where it took like a Cat 3 almost right over me. But back-to-back tropical systems is crazy. That's not happening. But anyways, we've really went over everything very important. So we're just going to be waiting for the NHC to update their forecast, which hopefully they'll do it a little bit early. If they do it early enough, we could call quits slightly earlier. But we'll see. We shall see. But again, if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. We're at 47 likes. We'll make the goal 50 for this one, considering it's a briefing. And if you haven't already, if you can, share the stream with family, friends, social media. Hit that subscribe button with the notification bell set to all, so you know when I go live for this tropical system again, because we will be live. Tomorrow's Monday. I'll most likely be live daily from here on out. There's a chance I'd take a break tomorrow, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Wow. Satellite imagery is behind a whopping 2.5 hours. What about on, like, the global satellite imagery? I imagine it's only a select few satellites. Like, what about, let's see. Can I go to here? Okay. Yeah, this one's not down. Okay, good. I was wanting to show you guys the infrared satellite imagery out here. Wait, shoot. That's the wrong area. That's not the right area. Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, this one is up to date. This is as good as we are going to get. Oh my word. This is as close to up to date as we're going to get with our current status of satellite. But there you go. So that is let's see. That was 30 minutes ago was our last decent update. And look at that big explosion of towering there. I just want to show you guys the rest of the satellite. That's the status of our satellite right now. That is wild. So all the other satellites, they're fine. They're fine. They're fine. All of our other satellites, they're good. They are perfect. The United States, gone. Even the mesosectors are having issues too. They don't normally look like that. Let's just loop this. Flash warning for sure. See how bad it gets. It's fine. Still, oh, little glitch. Still fine. This is this morning. It's about noon this morning. 2 p.m., 3, 4, 5. Wow. So they literally just went down at 5 o'clock. This was our last frame, and from there on, they've just been down. This was 6:05 p.m. 6:05 p.m. Eastern. All right, I should probably close out some tabs here. I have way too many tabs open. We'll keep tropical tidbits up here. Not that one, though. Weather nerds will keep that up. Okay. College DuPage is doing just fine, actually. It's not having any issues currently, so I wonder if we could use that to take a look at our AOI. I don't know why College DuPage ain't having issues, but I ain't complaining. Yeah, there's updated literally just 5 minutes ago. So this is College DuPage. That's a look at potential tropical cyclone 6 right there in the southwestern portion of the Gulf of Mexico. So if you can't tell, here's Texas. This is Louisiana. Once you go into this, there's New Orleans, a little indent there. Then you go into Florida, Key West, and then along the eastern seaboard, here's Cuba, Yucatan Peninsula. And then you go on down into Mexico as well. So that's obviously southwest Gulf of Mexico there. And it's slowly but surely moving off to the northwest like this. And it's eventually going to head into Louisiana and Texas. So currently we just have, this is what was 90L up here. I'm trying to find the right color. I can't find a good color here. So this is what was 90L. That's now just a blob of convection, just barely even moving off to the southeast here. Barely even moving. Then, of course, you have your more substantial tropical wave out here, which is potential tropical cyclone 5. This is very slowly moving south. Those two are going to merge into one tropical cyclone, and eventually this will make its way all the way up into most likely Louisiana. It's going to take a more different track, though. It's going to move more like this. It's going to move more like that. So there you go. Alrighty. Here's our true color imagery as well. You can also see that above my face cam too. I've been looping that the whole stream. I wouldn't be too shocked if that is a, well, it's already a tropical storm. The only issue is it doesn't have a centralized low pressure, which allows for it to not be a tropical storm. So it has the wind speeds of a tropical storm in this area, but it does not have a well-defined low. There's no low at the moment, so it's just potential tropical cyclone. There's your upper level water vapor imagery. You can see the dust. See it on the top of your screen right here. That's going to be most likely slowly moving south to the point where it will most likely be over the north central portion of the Gulf of Mexico, just off the coastline of Texas and Louisiana. So that's going to be one of your limiting factors that I think will prevent this from being anything more than probably a high-end Category 1 landfall. But like I said, we could range anywhere from a low-end tropical storm landfall all the way to a Category 3 landfall with the amount of time that this will most likely have over the Gulf of Mexico. Your lower level water vapor imagery is going to show you just how much dust we have out there, how much dry air is out there. You've got an unfavorable environment out here in the Caribbean and a very unfavorable environment out there in the south central side of the United States. Look at that very sharp cutoff right here. That shows you just how dry the atmosphere is in Louisiana. That might even just be a trough. Can we get a broader view here? Yeah, so you have a trough located over the northwestern tier of the U.S. You have a big old trough located over the northeastern side of the U.S. And then you just have general west-northwesterly dry air moving across a good chunk of the southern U.S. My favorite thing to look at for troughs is upper-level imagery. So many moving parts, my goodness. I don't think we have much weather going on in the United States. This is your nationwide radar imagery. You could see some broad rain showers, or a lot of rain showers, I should say, all in the Pacific Northwest, Northwestern, and West Central side of the U.S. And then this is all tropical moisture down here. I believe this is what's left of 90L out here, just off the coastline of Louisiana, southwest of Florida. And then that little blob just almost off your screen right there. That is probably the far northern side of potential tropical cyclone 6 out there in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. That's just some thunderstorms associated with it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move this out of here. I don't think we'll be using that again unless we pull it up for some models, which I don't think we'll use models on that. Normally, I use tropical tidbits and weather nerds. All right, we're going to have to start paying attention to the NHC. Oh, well, there is your advisory. I'm pretty sure they just issued an advisory for it. Yep, they just issued an advisory. And I don't think much, if anything, changed at all. Yeah, I don't see much that has changed whatsoever. Let's see if I could compare the two. It still looks generally the same. We'll pull it up on Radar Omega here. Still forecasting a Cat 1. Actually, this is still starting to render in here, so it's not fully in yet. It's not fully in, but I don't think much has changed here. They're still forecasting a tropical storm. Tropical storm watches are still out. It is still potential tropical cyclone at 6. So tropical storms still expected for the coastline areas of eastern Mexico, including some areas we could see tropical storm force wind speeds along the coastline of southeastern Texas. Then eventually it will pull away from the coastline of Texas and then it move back on into Louisiana as most likely a hurricane. So I don't think much changed there on their newest update. Well, we've really talked about everything. I think I'm going to cut this short. I said 2 hours, but I think an hour and a half is good considering that we just got the new update and there's really not much new to it. So we'll probably cut it off short here, start ending in 12 minutes. There's no reason for me to go longer. We already looked at all the models and everything. So if you're just tuning in, we're probably going to wrap it up here in about 12-ish minutes or so. You can rewatch probably like the first 20 minutes of the stream was the most informative. Then after that, we did a whole lot more of a deep dive on into our models. Let's see here. Somebody put tornado outbreak in their title. That's crazy. Is it a chaser? I guess it's a chaser. We got another person who is very much needy of attention in the chat there. Legit made 3 alt accounts. I think that person's unassociated with them. I don't think Storm Team was associated with them, but 3 accounts just to spam the chat's kind of crazy. They're playing a game. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, there's all your AOIs. So the reason why you don't see... Actually, hold on. Red Omega did take that off, didn't they? Because there used to be an AOI there. There used to be an AOI there, but they took that off because it's now a potential tropical cyclone. So glad to see they took that AOI off because that could actually get annoying sometimes. But there's your other 3 AOIs. We have 70% chance for a tropical depression or storm to form well to the west of Cape Verde. We have a 70% chance for a tropical storm or depression to form in the next 7 days out there east of the Lesser Antilles. That might just be able to make a close call with some tropical storm impacts for the northeastern Lesser Antilles. So if you are up there towards Guadeloupe at the far eastern U.S. Virgin Islands, I would be watching this red AOI here just in case. And then also Baja California and on the western side, southwestern side of Mexico, we could see a tropical storm, maybe even a hurricane form out there in the EPAC this week. That's at a 60% chance of development. We also just got 3 severe thunderstorm warnings out here in Cali. two of which are just to the east of downtown LA. I believe they're on I think they're our radar's like in a valley here, so I don't think the storms are on a mountain, but our radar's just not in the best position to see him, because if we do like this, there you go. So now you can see that severe storm a bit better. Look at the difference between your radar coverage. Just to let y'all know, with some of these terrains like this, look at this. You literally have there's light rain, maybe some moderate rain with this radar site, and then you use your nationwide radar site. Looks completely different. But yeah, that's gonna be it, y'all. Just to do a recap, because I do like to do recaps at the end of videos on live streams now. We'll go back and turn on that tropical outlook. I kind of already did the tropical outlook, but just to say it all again, tropical storm is a real possibility out here that could impact western, southwestern Mexico into Baja California. Hurricane is likely to impact, and is expected, I should say, expected to impact southeastern and eastern Texas into a good chunk of southern and southwestern Louisiana. A tropical storm to hurricane will be possible over the next 7 days east of the Lesser Antilles. We'll probably have maybe a near miss for the northeastern Lesser Antilles, eastern U.S. Virgin Islands before that goes out to sea. And then a tropical storm could also form and move on out to sea west of Cape Verde. Severe weather is not an issue anywhere inside the United States over the next couple of days. Just some isolated, strong to severe storms every now and then. Tomorrow, there is a marginal risk along the far northeastern side of the New England states, out there in western New York. We did just recently... Okay, we didn't get the 00Z yet, but we did just... Let me just see the 18Z HRRR. Yeah, the 18Z HRRR. I wouldn't fully rule out a tornado or two, especially on the southwest side of this marginal risk towards Buffalo, pointing out towards southwest of Syracuse. I do think we'll have the chance for a brief spin-up tornado or two tomorrow. No 2% tornado risk at the moment, but I will monitor that. I don't think we'll be doing live coverage on that unless it overperforms considerably, but I do see a very marginal tornado threat up there in New York. Day 3, nothing. Day 4, which will eventually turn into day 3, I wouldn't be shocked to see a large marginal risk at some point introduced in this general vicinity here. That may be split up between both day 4 and day 5, pending on exactly where the system makes landfall, and when it makes landfall is a big thing too. So that's overall your whole weather forecast. Not much in terms of severe weather by itself. Like I said, could see a spin-up tornado or two tomorrow in New York. But outside of that, it's really just going to be paying attention to this one tropical system that's going to head towards Louisiana, Texas. Literally uptrended ridiculously in the last 24 hours, to the point where we had to do an urgent stream. So, or it was a planned stream, but it was a planned stream because we planned it earlier today, but also not something we were really expecting to do. I was hoping to get a break. 2 days ago, it was looking very inactive, and then this stuff just popped up really almost out of nowhere. Why isn't there a severe weather threat with strong cold front? Could be a number of things. I don't know exactly where that cold front is. It just depends. Mods, next time we live stream, there is something called slow-mo that is wonderful. Hey! They just put it on 5 seconds. We're ending now. It's too late now. But, I mean, you guys need to really know that slow-mo is a thing. I have to get on my phone and go ahead and turn it on, so it takes me longer to turn it on. But the typical user in a YouTube chat doesn't need to chat more than about once every 10 seconds. I mean, like, really, Kevin, for instance, he's a typical chatter here. He probably sends a chat once every minute, if that. So there's no reason to not have at least a 5-second slow-mo on, because I don't think that's going to bother many people. It may be an annoyance to some, but 5-second slow-mo is not that bad. Until you make a typo, then it is. Once you make a typo, it's like, dang it, I can't correct it for 5 seconds. They can see it now. But anyways, thank you, mods, for modding chat. Dealing with that troll for the Lord have mercy fifth or sixth month in a row. It feels like it's been forever. I'm pretty sure that's the same troll. I appreciate all the new people who tuned in and all the returning viewers. It was great to have a quick chat with you guys, and we'll most likely be live probably at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Today's was delayed by 30 minutes due to a race, but we'll most likely be live right about 6 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your night, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's live stream. Stay safe out there, keep a very close eye on the tropics, and have a great rest of your night. Goodbye. Stay safe, watch the weather and the tropics, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's live stream. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you, mods, for modding chat. Good.